The sun was just beginning to rise over the vast African savanna, spilling golden light across the tall grasses and scattered trees. Birds chirped softly, and a gentle breeze carried the scent of earth and wildflowers. Deep in this peaceful landscape, a man named Daniel was beginning his day. He was a wildlife rescuer, someone who had dedicated his life to helping injured and orphaned animals in the wild. Daniel lived alone in a small wooden hut at the edge of the reserve, close enough to respond quickly to any emergency. His heart was full of love for every creature, big or small, but never in his years of experience had he faced anything like what was about to happen. That morning, he packed his gear and stepped outside, planning to check on a sick giraffe he had treated the day before. As he slung his bag over his shoulder, a strange sound made him stop. It was low, guttural, and full of pain, the kind of sound that made your chest tighten. He froze. It came again. A lion's cry. But not one of anger. It sounded like sorrow. Cautiously, Daniel followed the sound, through the grass. The morning light flickered through the trees as he moved, each step careful and slow. Then he saw it. A massive lion stood in the clearing, but it wasn't roaring or baring its teeth. It was crying, real tears falling down its golden face. At his feet lay a tiny cub, unmoving, its little chest rising and falling in weak, slow breaths. The father, because Daniel could feel this was a father, was nuzzling the cub gently, his eyes locked onto Daniel's. Every instinct told Daniel to stay back. A wild lion, especially near its cub, could be deadly, but this one wasn't threatening him. In fact, it seemed to be asking for something. Its huge body stayed still. Only its eyes moved, filled with something Daniel had only ever seen in humans: desperation. He took a slow step forward. The lion didn't growl. Another step. The lion looked down at the cub, then back at Daniel as if saying, "Please." Daniel dropped to his knees a few feet away. His hands trembled as he reached for the cub. "Hey, little one," he whispered, voice soft as silk. The cub's eyes fluttered. It was burning with fever. Daniel could feel it through its fur. The little body was shaking, barely alive. He had to act fast. He glanced at the lion. "I need to take him with me. I'll do everything I can." The lion didn't move, but his eyes followed Daniel as he gently scooped the cub into his arms. What happened next was even more unbelievable. The lion followed. All the way back to Daniel's hut, the enormous animal walked beside him. Not like a predator, but like a worried father escorting his child. Animals in the trees and bushes froze as the strange pair passed. A man carrying a cub. A lion walking close enough to touch him. Daniel's heart pounded, but he never looked back. Something about the lion's calm, broken gaze told him he had nothing to fear. And somehow he was right. Inside the hut, Daniel laid the cub on a blanket. The lion waited at the door, watching every move. Daniel moved fast, boiling water, mixing fluids, preparing an antibiotic shot. "Stay with me, little guy," he murmured. "You're not done fighting." He cleaned the cub's wounds, cooled its fever, and kept it warm. Hours passed like minutes. Outside, the lion didn't eat, didn't move, didn't leave. He just waited. By evening, the cub's breathing grew stronger. Daniel smiled and whispered, "You're going to make it." Then, something crashed outside. Daniel rushed out and found the lion growling low. Not at him, but at a pack of hyenas circling near the hut. Their eyes were wild, hungry, and they smelled weakness. They saw an opportunity. Daniel's breath caught. He grabbed a metal pole and stood beside the lion. For a moment, it was man and beast, side by side, against the wild. The lion roared, a sound so loud and deep it shook the ground. The hyenas backed off but didn't leave. One charged. In a flash, the lion lunged, slamming the hyena into the dirt with powerful claws. Daniel swung the pole, shouting, driving the rest back. The battle lasted only a minute, but it felt like forever. When the last hyena fled into the night, Daniel and the lion both stood panting, exhausted but safe. Daniel looked at him, their eyes meeting again. There was no barrier between them now, only trust. Back inside, the cub was sleeping peacefully. Daniel whispered, "He's going to live." The lion stepped into the room slowly, lowered his head to the cub and licked his tiny face. That night, something even more unexpected happened. The lion didn't leave. He curled up near the door, watching over his cub. And Daniel, though, he barely believed it himself and let him. Over the next few days, the cub grew stronger. Daniel fed him milk, cleaned his fur, and watched him begin to play. The lion, still silent, still gentle, remained nearby, never threatening, only watching. One afternoon, as the cub took clumsy steps around the room, Daniel gently scratched behind its ear and said, "You're going to be all right, little one. Your dad never gave up on you." The lion, as if understanding, gave a soft growl, not a warning but a thank you. If you're watching this and feeling something inside your heart, that's because stories like these remind us how deeply animals can feel. Their love, their pain, it's real. If this story touches you, consider liking and subscribing. It helps us share more stories that matter. By the end of the week, the cub was strong enough to walk and even play. It was time. Daniel led the lion and his cub to a quiet field near the edge of the reserve. The cub ran in circles, full of energy, while the lion watched proudly. Daniel knelt beside the lion, feeling a strange ache in his chest. "You did good," he said softly. The lion turned, pressed his forehead gently to Daniel's shoulder, just for a second, then walked away, with his cub by his side, and just like that, they disappeared into the tall grass, swallowed by the wild. Daniel stood there for a long time, his eyes wet with tears he didn't bother to hide. Not because he was sad, but because he had witnessed something rare and beautiful. The moment a wild creature trusted a human with the most precious thing in his world. To this day, Daniel still hears the lion's cry in his dreams, not the sound of pain, but of hope, a reminder that love, in its purest form, knows no species. And that sometimes, even in the wildest corners of the world, the most unbelievable things can happen when we choose compassion. Thank you for staying with this story till the end. If it moved you, even a little, we're grateful. Your presence here matters. Keep caring, keep feeling, and never stop believing in the quiet power of kindness.